criminal prosecution. On December 13, 2003, a day in which everyone in this room remembers where she or he was. December 13, 2003. The President signed the Intelligence Authorization Act for fiscal '04, a dreary, drab, long, boring statute which no one had read before they voted for it. Congressman Paul and the Freedom Lovers voted against it. I didn't get to see it until it was published in the Federal Register a month and a half later on the 29th of January. The President and his people had obviously just reread, well, I don't know if he read it, but somebody perhaps read it to him. Sorry. 1984, because they engaged in newspeak. Remember, the target of the national security letters was limited to financial institutions. So in this 100-page statute, which divvies up money among the 18 intelligence agencies in the federal government, the 18 that we know of, God knows how many there truly are, they redefined financial institution. From and after the 13th of December, 2003, a financial institution means the following: a bank, a trust company, a credit union, a stockbroker, an investment banker, an insurance company, a pawnbroker, a delicatessen, a bodega, a travel agency, a hospital, an HMO, a real estate office, a jeweler's office, a restaurant, a hotel, your lawyer's office, and that great financial institution to which we would all repose our fortunes, the post office. It sounds ridiculous, but think about it. Patriot Act, you can attack financial institutions. Privacy Act of '77, you can attack financial institutions. All we have to do is change the definition of financial institutions, and now big government can attack whatever it wants. So now an agent on his own or her own can go to your lawyer with a self-written search warrant and look at documents that are of the most privileged nature in our society, and your lawyer can't tell anybody. You're a doctor, and look at those documents. Your real estate agent, and look at those documents. Your accountant, and look at those documents. December 13, 2003, George Bush knew that something happened 10,000 miles away, such that if he put his signature on that document that day, nobody would notice it. It was the day we captured Saddam Hussein. Who the heck is going to talk about a dreary appropriations bill that the president signed when everybody was talking about swabbing the inside of Hussein's mouth on NBC News? The Intelligence Reform Act of 2004, I mean, these things just keep going on, allows the government to deport foreigners without trial. Never mind that the Constitution protects persons, not citizens, persons. That statute allows the president and the attorney general without trial to deport whoever they want. You're arrested for a crime, the government has to show that you are a flight risk in order for the judge to deny bail. No longer in federal court, now you have to show that you are not a flight risk. The Congress has taken 600 years of Anglo-American jurisprudence and turned it upside down. For the first time in a criminal case, the defendant, before he's even charged with a crime, has to prove to a judge that he's worthy of bail, rather than the government having to prove to a judge that the defendant is not worthy of bail. Grand jury secrecy. You can go to jail if you reveal what happens before a grand jury, unless you're a federal prosecutor. Then you can leak to your heart's content, enshrined in the statute. And the last great debate Ron Paul and company had at the end of the Republican dominance of the Congress was the Military Commissions Act of 2006. And without going through great detail, I'll tell you the most horrific aspect of it. The Congress gave George Bush and all of his successors a tyrannical power that none of history's tyrants have ever claimed for themselves. One would expect, after trial, if acquitted, one would be set free. Pretty basic Anglo-American jurisprudence. Even one or two of Stalin's show trials, the guys got off and they walked free. But in the Military Commissions Act of '06, the president may, by declaring you an enemy combatant, read anarchist, going back to Woodrow Wilson, incarcerate you for as long as the war on terror is being fought, even if you've been acquitted by one of his tribunals. I'm going to scare you a little bit. This is my BlackBerry. It's off. There are two ways for it to go on. I can press the top of it, and it goes on. Or I can wait for the NSA to turn it on when it's in my pocket, if they want to hear what I'm saying in a private conversation. I don't think I'm telling you anything you don't know. This has been published. The government doesn't want it published. But the same people that took an oath to uphold our Constitution have figured out the way to turn these on without you knowing about it and listen to whatever conversation is occurring within the range of the microphone in here. Now, where does all of this lead us? Well, it leads us to the fact that we need a Ron Paul in the White House more desperately now than we ever have at any time in our history. It leads us to the fact that the Patriot Act has been challenged 6 times in court before 6 different judges, 2 of whom were appointed by George Bush, 2 of whom were appointed by George Bush Sr., and all 6 of whom found it unconstitutional. But the government still keeps using it. When Alberto Gonzales and John Ashcroft said to George Bush, "Go to Cuba, go to Guantanamo Bay," the criminal laws don't apply, the Constitution doesn't apply, the treaties don't apply, the federal courts can't reach you. The Supreme Court said no by a vote of 8-1. When Bush unilaterally took away the right to habeas corpus by a signature, the Supreme Court, by a vote of 6-3, said, no, you can't do that. When the president said, we can torture and maim and do whatever we want because this is not a country that we're fighting and they didn't sign the Geneva Convention, the Supreme Court, by a vote of 5-4, said, no, the Geneva Convention applies. Note the numbers, 8-1, 6-3, 5-4, all before Sandra Day O'Connor left the court. I really never thought that my former colleagues and their black robes would be our last line of defense for basic human freedom. But unless we can change the attitude of the Congress and the occupant of the White House, that's what we're left with. The country was founded by people who said things like, those who would give up essential liberty to obtain temporary safety deserve neither. The country was founded by people who said things like, give me liberty or give me death. And today we have a government that preaches fear and turns our phones on and plants bugs under our toilets and claims that it has the right to do it. He had a lot of flaws. None of us is perfect. But shortly before he died, reminded us all, when the people fear the government, that is tyranny. But when the government fears the people, that's liberty. God bless you.